everyone, good afternoon. It's a pleasure to see you all here, and I hope we have a great afternoon together. I'm the host today, Cheryl Yu, research analyst from Leader Associates. Solar is the main theme for the next 2 hours. The solar power sector in Japan is expected to have great potential for growth to 120 to 140 gigawatt by 2030. However, several challenges are hindering the investment and growth, especially concerning the changing power market shift from FIT to FIP and the rise of supply chain costs and the shrinking profit margin for asset owners and managers. Well, today we bring together industry observers, developers, power off-takers, and asset operators to explore the current status. Well, first is some housekeeping notes for you. We encourage you to use the Q&A function at the bottom of the screen at any time to ask our speakers questions. And for technical problems, please leave your message in the chat box. Also, our webinar today serves as pre-launch of our 5th edition of Solar Energy Future Japan, the premium in-person business platform in Yokohama from October 11th to 12th this year. The Solar Energy Japan is your must-to-go event for Japan's solar opportunities with a global horizon. Every year, we welcome over 300 industry top-tier leaders under one roof, and with SoftBank Group, ORIX Renewable Energy Management Corporation, Development Bank of Japan, BayWa Energy and Infrastructure, and Total Energies already confirmed to join this year. Well, that's everything about the overview. Then our first session is the recording video from BloombergNEF Isshu Kikuma-san on the Japanese PV market outlook. In view of the smoothness of the broadcast, we have sent you a link to the recording in advance for your convenience. And it is also available in the chat box for you to watch. I will skip this part by giving you a summary of Isshu-san's presentation. Well, Isshu-san thinks that the promotion of FIP will lead to a declined new installation before 2025, but is expected to show an upward trend after that, because in the long term, PV has a construction cost advantage compared to coal factories. And private sectors have also a very high willingness to buy clean energy. So in general, he thinks the Japanese solar energy is challenging but exciting. Well, I wonder whether that's also how our guests in the live room feel. Let's first start with Izumi-san from RTS Corporation, and she will be talking to us about the auction of solar in Japan. Let's welcome her.
Thank you for your kind introduction. Now I'd like to share my slide.
Yes,
okay,
please.
Can you see my slide? And my sound is clear?
Yes, it says you are already sharing your screen, but I cannot see your slides. Yes, it's clear now.
Can you see my slide?
Yes.
Okay. So now I start the presentation. Anyway, thank you for inviting me to speak about the Japanese market. Today, I'd like to focus on the latest auction results and issues regarding the auctions for the feed-in tariff program and feed-in premium program just started this April. Here is my company's introduction, but I'd like to skip, but please visit our website for more details. And here is my contents. First, I'd like to show you the installation status last year and our expectation of this year. Then I'd like to briefly talk about the political framework because it gives the impact on the future markets. Then latest auction result will be introduced. Then I'd like to discuss some issues. And finally, I'd like to show our analysis for the long-term outlook of the PV market. So this chart shows the PV installation trends from the 2008. And after the feed-in tariff program started in 2012, the market grown, but recently the market shrinked. Actually, compared to the 2020, the 21 market was 6.5 gigawatt, less than the 2020. In 2020, we had a rush of the installation due to the deadline, the METI set for the project. And but still, we have the many approved projects, not yet started operation. So we expect this year the market could be maybe 7 gigawatt at most. Here I'd like to talk about the Japanese energy policy. The last year, the government set the strategic energy plan, the エネルギー基本計画 in Japanese. And in that plan, the government raised the share of the renewables to the 36 to 38% in the electricity mix. And the important thing is government thinks the PV is the most potential renewable energy sources. Here is the government's scenarios. And the most ambitious scenario, the PV could be, this is AC number. In case of the DC number, the almost 140 gigawatt of the PV could be installed by 2030. And compared to the other renewables, the hydro, the chance to the growth is quite limited. But in case of the PV, I think in the large scale centralized sector plus distributed sector, there's huge potential in the Japanese market. And to achieve the new renewable energy goal, now the government set the framework to achieve this very ambitious target. Before, only the Ministry of the Economy and Trade Industry are in charge of the renewable energy introduction. But after the carbon neutral target was set, the other ministry, like Ministry of the Environment or Ministry of the Agriculture or Ministry of the Land and Infrastructure Transportation, they have their own roadmap for the carbon neutral at now. And especially the Ministry of Environment will play a very important role because they will distribute the funding to the local government to promote carbon neutral. Also, in addition to these ministries, now under the government, we have the deregulation task force of the renewable energy. So they are working on the changing the regulation. For example, they try to make use of the deserted agricultural land for the renewables. And under this background, now government is implementing 2 measures for the introduction of the PV. Actually, this year, this fiscal year, and next fiscal year, I can say it's the year of the transition, because in case of the smaller PV, we have the 2 programs, Fit and Feed-in Premium program, and the developers can select FIT or FIP and next year as well. But after 2024, the support program to be discussed. We are not sure what's happened. But in case of the large scale PV 1 megawatt or more, we have the tender scheme for FIT and FIP. And I'd like to show the latest result of the both of the auction. So this is the result of the 11th auction. At that time, the lowest bidding bid recorded 8.99 yen per kilowatt hour. This was the lowest record in the auction. But the latest auction, 12th auction, the lowest bidding price increased a bit. Because of the international price of the PV modules are raised. I think the bidding price influenced by the such price pressures. But anyway, this feed-in tariff program auction, I can say that it's not so popular because the target capacity was 15 megawatt, but awarded capacity only almost half of the target capacity. But anyway, I think the feed-in tariff program, the government guarantee 20 years purchasing period. So and also the FIP program just started in this April. So I think most of the smaller sized PV developers selected joining the feed-in tariff program for the tender. Now I'd like to tell you about the feed-in premium program. This chart shows a little bit busy, but price, how to decide the standard price for the feed-in tariff program. And this orange part should be the revenue for the premium for the power producers. And this reference price are set by monthly, but in case of Japan, the transaction volume, the electricity market is not so high, and the future price it's very difficult to predict. So some of the developers says that for the first auction, they keep wait and see approach. And some of the developers says that they will develop the more corporate PPA projects. But the first auction, the result was not so bad. And here is the result of the first auction program for the feed-in tariff program. The target was 175 megawatt. Also, the awarded projects less than couldn't reach this target, but I think the result was quite interesting because some of the projects are more than 10 megawatt or 20 megawatt, and the largest project was 75 megawatt, and the ceiling was 10 yen, Japanese yen per kilowatt hour, but lowest was 9.85 yen. And I'd like to show who won awarded the project. The largest project was by Pacifico Energy Tokuyama LLC, and the lowest price, the Excelio Spanish company are awarded with 9.85 yen per kilowatt hour. And these developers can trade electricity in three ways. They can directly trade in all wholesale market, or they can make contract bilaterally with the electricity retailers. And at now, I'm not sure which way they select. And in addition to this trading scheme, also the aggregate, they can sell the power to the aggregator. But I think these capacity size, these developers will select A or B. And also the trading scheme, we have three options. In addition to that, it should be noted that feed-in premium program, the developer can use batteries and make profit when the electricity is high in the wholesale market. So this will create the new business models for the developers. But we have some issues. Still, the lack of land for the good sites are, the developer says it's difficult to find the good sites. Our land space is quite limited and the good place are already developed. But the good news is recently the Ministry of the Environment announced that they will set the positive zones for renewables. Also, they help the local government. And I think the local government might start the auction like this. And also, as I said, the task force for the deregulation is working on the utilizing deserted agricultural land. Also, the Ministry of the Land and Infrastructure and Transport, they are considering to introduce PV in the airport or other infrastructures. And the second issue is the grid connection capacity. But I think the Committee for Large Volume Introduction Renewable, they work on the operating rule and also recently the grid enhancement plan from Hokkaido to Honshu Island are announced. So this will be improved in the future. And for the feed-in premium project, the finance sector is still quite conservative, but I think later the financer will understand the mechanism. They will support the FIP project as well as feed-in tariff project. But at now, the problem is the cost of the initial investment because of the weak yen and also international price of the PV modules not lowered enough. And also because of the semiconductor shortage, the delay of the power conditioners, inverters are we need to watch. And also in some local government, they are quite opposite for the large scale PV project. There's several reasons, but for the safety and reliable operation, recently the government started the working group and new guideline will be issued. And this new guideline and also the positive zoning of the Ministry of Environment, I think in the certain areas, the development might be easier. And this is our RTS slide for the future PV market, future business models. Now we are in the transition time, the FIT and FYP. And also we have the market for the corporate PPA growing. And there's pro and cons for the corporate PPA market versus feed-in premium market or FIT market. The PPA market is expected to grow, but the contract periods shorter than the feed-in premium or feed-in tariff project. And also in case of the feed-in tariff or feed-in premium, the government commit to purchase 20 years period. So if the you can prepare the FYP tender, I think there's good opportunity for the future business in Japan. And also, I'm quite sure the feed-in premium project with batteries will be the good business opportunity in Japanese market. And here is the chart of the electricity retail price. The gap between the electricity price and the generation LCOE is widening. And that makes another opportunity for the future Japanese market. And the last slide. I'd like to conclude my presentation. This is our latest Japanese PV market outlook until 2030. The government's ambitious outlook, almost 140 gigawatt by 2030, but we expect more PV in the future. Thank you for your attention. If you want to know the details, please visit our LinkedIn or YouTube channel.
Thank you, Izumi-san. Thank you for the presentation. And now it's my questions for you. The first one is, how do you forecast the next auction this year? Is it possible to see more innovation projects since people are getting familiar with the new rules?
Good question. And next, the ceiling price will be lower. The latest one, the 10 yen per kilowatt hour. But next auction, the ceiling price will be 9.88 yen per kilowatt hour. But I'm afraid currently the price is increasing. So if and the problem is yen is very weakening. So if the project cost, the project developer can keep the lower, that could be a good opportunity.
Okay, thank you. And you mentioned in your slides that PV will play an important role in housing and building. So compared to large-scale solar, how is the growth rate of distributed solar or self-consumption in Japan? What kind of projects do you think will be the main contributor to Japan's solar in the next decade?
Yes, commercial and industry sector, the self-consumption project or on-site PPA will be the growth sector. In addition to that, the government set the target by 2030, the 60% of the new houses should have the PV. And following this direction, the Tokyo metropolitan government will give the obligation to have the PV for the new houses. And I think other prefecture also follows. And the residential PV market will increase in the future, plus battery market as well. And in case of the commercial and industry sector, for the self-consumption, the off-site PPAs, Ministry of the Environment now set some subsidy. And also the local government will promote this application for the public buildings like school or city halls or And also, in addition to that, most of the reservoir are owned by the local government. In such case, I think floating PV as well, it will be the growing sector.
Okay, thank you. And we have another question from our Q&A box. Olaf seemed very concerned about the curtailment and the grid management. So how you think this problem in Japan and how can we solve it?
Well, grid issues, I think the good news is that in Hokkaido area, the project needs to set the batteries, but the grid situation improved. So just recently, the Hokkaido doesn't need batteries. This is the hot news. And the curtailment, it depends on the region. Especially Kyushu region, it might be issues. But so that if you have the asset, or if you want to purchase the secondary in the secondary market, I think you have to consider the location of the portfolio of the PV asset. But generally the grid situation should be improved. Because the operating grid is changing, so-called non-farm operation, and the enhancement of the grid is planned. That it takes a few more years.
Okay, it's glad to see such a change doing now. So, and thank you for the answering. And in the face of the rapid changing external environment, developers' expansion strategy are also changing. So here's Tetsuya Oura-san to share the choices BayWa has made. Tetsuya-san, you can start now. I have already opened the slides for you.
Okay, so yes, let's start. My name is Tetsuya Oura. I'm a president and representative director of BayWa RE Japan. And I'm a country manager of BayWa RE operations here in Japan. And I will give our company's introduction, and also I will present our challenges and how to cope with it. Okay, let's start. Please go to the next page. Yes, this shows the contents of today's presentation. Our company slogan is, let us work for a common purpose for our planet. This is our company corporate slogan. And also we sometimes utilize rethink energy. BayWa RE. RE is, yes, an abbreviation of renewable energy, but rethink energy, we sometimes utilize such words internally or externally. And the first point is facts and figures about our company. And second point, our expertise and activities. And third point, challenges and strategy in Japan. Yes, if we have a time and we can go into fourth point, our references in Japan, our activity record in Japan, but perhaps we may stop by third point. Please go to the next page. Yes, go to the next page. One more next page, please. Yes. BayWa RE is the subsidiary of BayWa AG. And BayWa AG is the listed company in Germany, and the headquarters in Munich. BayWa's coverage is not only renewable energy, but also agriculture and energy, conventional energy-related business, yes, and gas, gasoline and oil, and those items, and also building materials. Those are BayWa's original coverage. And BayWa's renewable energy business started in 2009. Please go to the next page. Yes, and this is the BayWa RE's explanation. Now, 51% is owned by BayWa and 49% is owned by energy infrastructure partners. This yes, an EIP comes from Switzerland, and last year they participated as a minority stakeholders. BayWa AG itself is, as I explains, the listed company in Germany and founded in 1923, meaning almost 100 years, and globally active group, and over 3,000 locations in 44 countries. Please go to the next page. Next page shows BayWa REs. Yes, our turnover in the previous year was 3.6 billion euro, EBIT 162 million euro, employees 3,400 at the end of last year. Now it's more than 3,800. We are growing, and founded in 2009, and globally active in 29 countries. Renewable energy business in 29 countries we are operating. Please go to the next page. Yes. This shows our active countries and active regions, Americas and European countries, with some African countries, and APAC regions, including Japan. Please go to the next page. Yes, and this shows our activities in APAC. So there are several countries: Thailand, Vietnam, Indonesia, Malaysia, and Singapore, and Japan, South Korea, Philippines, Australia. And in each country, our activities are different. In Japan, we are focusing on solar project development up to now. But as you can see in the picture of each countries, we are active not only in solar, but also for wind, and also not only project business, but also operation business, O&M and AM, and also solution business, including distributions, parts distribution, and energy solutions. So if there comes opportunities, we are willing to expand our business not only for solar, but also for other segments such as wind or distributions. Please go to the next page. Two page, yes. Move to additional 2 page, yes. This page shows our portfolios. And BayWa RE, as I touched on, yes, there are mainly 3 segments: project segment, and services segment, and solutions. Project, yes, installed capacity total 4.6 gigawatt globally in wind and solar. And our project pipeline, this is not only for solar, but also wind, total 21 gigawatt now. Recently, we entered into the offshore wind space in UK. Yes, and wind and solar allocation almost 50-50. There's no change these days. And in the middle, services, 10 gigawatt under operational management, services in energy trading, consultancy, and technical management for solar, biogas plants, and wind farms. And recently, with the onboarding of EIP, our equity partner, we are considering to enter into the IPP business. So our plan is to increase IPP asset to up to 2.5 gigawatt in the medium term, mostly utilizing our developing asset. We shift it to IPP. That is our basic strategy. The right-hand side, solutions. 25 years of solar distribution experiences, a wide range of quality products and services for about 15,000 installation and sales partners globally. In Japan, we haven't started these solutions, parts distribution business, but we are very active globally in solutions. Please go to the next 2 pages. Yes, we enter into our challenges and opportunities in Japan. I want to focus today 3 points, brownfield to greenfield, and PPA arrangement, and construction cost increase. Those are the main challenges nowadays. So yes, let's start from the left-hand side. Brownfield to greenfield. As a developer, we are facing this change, development. And the background is, as everyone knows, a regulatory shift from FIT to FIP, corporate PPA. This is a very big shift in the market. Yes, another challenging point is search for available sites for large-scale projects. Up to now, BayWa focused on the large-scale, utility-scale solar project, mega solar projects. But yeah, it becomes more and more challenging to identify large sites. Still, there are some potentials, and we are chasing them, but it is becoming more and more challenging. So yes, in the era of FIP, corporate PPA, there happens a time gap between site arrangement, project development, and PPA arrangement. So potential PPA off-takers, and they want to secure the, yes, how can I say, certain project portfolio. But as you know, if you are working in the project development business, it's not so quick to implement large-scale renewable energy project. So there happens a time gap between the PPA arrangement and site or project development arrangement. So if we commit much earlier than the sufficient project implementation, yeah, there remains a risk. So yeah, it is same also for the off-takers, end user, so that they want to see, yes, the matured pipeline, but that is a challenge. And the fourth point is grid availability and curtailment. Yes, as you know, the grid availability is serious issues in this industry. So even if we are allowed to, yes, and join to the grid, but yeah, more and more opportunities, yes, and we need to face the, yes, the more challenging arrangement, such as non-farm interconnection. In case of non-farm interconnection, yes, and it's yeah, still challenging to see the estimate of the future curtailment. So we are now actively discussing with industry specialists. In the normal curtailment, it's easy to go to the research institute. Yes, and there are some very good research institutes who can show confidence to provide a curtailment report. But in case of non-farm regime, yes, and what we need to assume, that is very important point. Going to the middle, PPA arrangement. First point is, yes, on-site or off-site. Yes, when we yes, and consider about the easy implementation, on-site is of course better because and we can avoid the grid issues. But generally speaking, on-site opportunities are not so not so large scale and limited, and especially for non-Japanese firm like us. And there are limited opportunities. So yes, offsite is more promising for us. But to what extent we can reach to the potential sites, that is a basic challenge. Second point is, yes, this is not a challenge, but yes, and there are two types of corporate PPA, physical or virtual. Some off-takers prefer wants to see the project profile also where and also what kind of project, and is it friendly to the local community, and those aspects also to be checked by the potential off-takers. So we need to identify yes, yes, and developer-friendly off-taker or corporate PPA off-takers. The third point is balancing risk. Yes, if we are much larger entity here in Japan, it may be easier for us to take the balancing risk by utilizing the very good application of software or our industry knowledge. But yes, and in Japan, our employees are just around 20 to 25. So we need to yes, and rely on the external experts to take balancing risk. And the same can be said about retail and JEPX arrangement. Yes, and we may consider to have a license to retail or JEPX operations, but at the moment, we are considering to utilize external resource for that. The last point in this point, growing demand with increasing energy price. This is not a challenge, but opportunities. And actually, we are seeing some potential corporate PPA off-takers. They are okay to accept a bit higher tariff than FIP tender price. So if we can realize a very good matching of our pipeline, project pipeline, and corporate PPA off-taker demand, yes, and that is the win-win situation. So that is a good opportunity for us. The right-hand side, construction cost increase. Perhaps it is not necessary to explain so much, but we are facing the global production constraints, module, PCS, etc. And there comes a double punch of weak Japanese yen. So actually, we are facing substantial EPC unit cost increase. And in some cases, nearly 20% or 30% increase we are facing. So we are now seriously discussing with the EPC players in the market. Okay, please go to the next page. yes, this is BayWa early Japan strategy. I want to touch on 3 points. Expanding corporate PPA expertise. And in the middle, local community-friendly project development. And lastly, mobilizing BayWa's regional global resources and knowledge. So expanding corporate PPA expertise, utilization of global track record and network, and user-friendly corporate PPA arrangement. In our communication with potential off-takers, and some off-takers show a concern in relation to IFRS and how to realize the off-balance sheet arrangement. And how we we seriously discuss with them how to overcome the leasing accounting issues. Utilizing our global track record, we are advising on that kind of aspect. Discussion with potential off-takers, and we are actively doing it these days. And recently, we implemented initial corporate PPA transactions. It's in June, previous months. And second point, local community-friendly project development. And we are continuously searching for potential sites for high voltage and extra high voltage. Recently we are feeling there is a high potential in floating solar or agri-solar projects, because those segments, and there is a tendency that those type of solar projects, and show the favorable local community acceptance. Easily we can produce a win-win situation in those segments. That's our findings these days. As our strategy, we want to have a sincere discussion with local communities. We have a very good track record of multiple local community agreements in some projects. This is really key to produce and to realize healthy transactions. So we want to continue such an effort. And last point, mobilizing BayWa's regional global resources and knowledge. And we have a full shop functions in Japan, even with limited resource. But if there comes a multiple project in parallel, we need to have a support from our regional or global colleagues, engineering support from APAC and headquarters. And also, in relation to external finance arrangement, and we can utilize our global relationship. So even in the 1-year rule transactions, we can mobilize global financial institutions based on our relationship. And in relation to major parts procurement, we can utilize our global procurement capabilities. It is challenging to have a reasonable cost level, but at least for procurement itself, we are substantially supported by our global capability. Okay, that's it from me. So if there are any questions, I'm fine to respond to the extent possible.
Okay, thank you, Tetsuya-san. And here's the questions for you. Well, as you said, BayWa is an international developer. So what do you think is the competitiveness of BayWa compared to the local developers? And do you think the government are giving enough support to international developers, EPCs, and OEM companies?
That is a very good question. And we are international companies. So yes, and we are active in various countries. But honestly speaking, in Japan, not the major players till now. And we have developed several transactions, large-scale transactions in this market. And our competitiveness is, and we want to engage in all the phases of project development, starting from the early project development phase and local relationship management, not only local communities but also with local authorities. And of course, we are very eager to have a good relationship with the EPC players in the market. So overseeing the EPC process. And yes, and we complete the project. And we reach to the an operational phase in a responsible manner. But it's not so different from other players. But our strength is, if really necessary, we can utilize our global, how can I say, the financing backup. So even without external funding, we could implement our project till now. These days, we, if possible, of course, and we want to utilize external funding, but if it's really necessary, we can mobilize our parent company's capital to project development. That maybe one of the strengths of our company. And also, as I mentioned in the previous slides, and we have a very good relationship with global manufacturers, parts manufacturers. So in challenging time of, how can I say, global supply chains, even in such an environment, yes, we can secure the necessary parts in solar projects. That's our strengths. And in relation to the relationship with the government or local authorities, yes, it's yes, and we are following the regulatory movement in the central government, but mostly project by project basis, we will need to communicate with the local authorities. And so in that respect, yes, communication points are different project by project, but we are very serious to communicate with them. There are many ways to interact with them, but up to now, we have a very good communication with each regional authorities. That's my observation. Is it right answer for your questions?
Yes, thank you for that. And I assume there's a lot of things to do in Japan's solar market. So speaking of the solar market in Japan, I think the release of FIP does encourage the companies to turn to corporate PPA, but I think it also remains some risks. So what are the major obstacles to expanding PPA deals in Japan?
PPA deals itself is not an issue for us because we have some global experiences and track record in the market. But the real challenge in the corporate PPA or FIP arrangement is how to present the sufficient quantity of capacity, stable capacity to the off-takers. That is issues, because as I explained in my slides, so the sites and also grid, those are the fundamental concerns, and also these days the EPC costs. Yes, to some extent, the increasing tariff or electricity price in the market, yes, and will help us to offset the EPC price increase. But still, yes, and 20% or 3% cost increase on the side of EPC. Yes, that is very serious issues for us to cope with.
Yes, and I think in the global market, storage is now a very hot topic. So did BayWa Japan also consider a project with storage systems?
Oh, good questions. Actually, we are chasing some project in Hokkaido. So yes, and there are some discussion on the side of government. That storage requirement in Hokkaido may go on, but we are testing how profitable or other business, how we can realize the storage included project. Still, it's a bit challenging with the current battery cost, but there is a chance if the regulation will be more flexible and the cost level will be more favorable for us. So we are carefully watching the development in the industry.
Okay, thank you, Tetsuya-san. Really appreciate your answer. And both Izumi-san and Tetsuya-san have mentioned corporate PPAs. Seiya Miyake-san from Minna-Denryoku may have more to say on this topic as a very important part of green power supply. Let's welcome him.
Hello, my name is Seiya Miyake of Minna-Denryoku.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to start. Can I start?
Yes, of course. Please.
Sorry for my trouble. Okay, I will talk about the PPA, corporate PPA market in Japan. So let me introduce ourselves a little bit within 3 minutes. So our company, Minna-Denryoku, is doing a retail business, especially for renewable energy supplier. So actually we are procuring from many suppliers. So we are focusing on the connection between the users and the generators, producers. So that's why actually now is 600 generators producers we have contracted to procure the renewable energy, mainly the feed-in tariff. So the producers, there's many profile, has many profile, and the farmer or like an individual and the companies, owners, something like this. So they are doing a generation business. So we procuring from them and selling to users, showing their face. So for example, this one is the person, they are running a wind farm. And then also the farmer, like them, they are producing rice and Japanese sake. This is kind of a story of their generation business. So that is very good to buy electricity from them, especially for our individual customers choosing these generators. So this is a chart. So we are procuring many types of generators, like wind on the sea or something like this, or the hydro power, something like this. Buying those corporate customer buying from those generators, and then they can choose what generator they want to buy. So this is what we do is. We call this is the renewable energy economy market. So between generators and also their local value and their customers, this is what we do. And then move on to the Japanese energy market trend. So this is showing the trend of power exchanging market. So as you may know, Japanese power exchange market also soaring since last autumn. And then this is because of the LNG market is very high now. So this will be continue for a few years or no, I don't know. But this very expensive procurement price is a very severe market for Japanese electricity retail market. So many retail players are going wrong now. More than 100 companies running out their resources, or some of them are bankrupt, so they cannot continue to sell electricity. So this shows energy. This is most of Japanese retailers use fuel surcharge system. So this is the rate of the fuel surcharge rate, adjustment rate. So about last 1 year, the price has been soared about 10 yen. And this is very big difference between the 1 year. So that's why in Japan, so corporate PPA is one of option to hedging those price surge. So many companies looking at the corporate PPA to reduce their procurement cost. So our company selling electricity, renewable energy, many ways. So actually, we have done a lot using feed-in tariff generators. We are procure from feed-in tariff generators, and then we sell it users with non-fossil fuel credit. So this is the renewable energy, but the problem is the procurement price is the moving the spot price because of the government. The system is something like this. So we move on to the non-feed generators, something like the physical PPA. We are focusing on to make a physical PPA projects since last year. I will introduce you the example. So we have doing with this business with many generators and the users, and then we compose the procurement scheme. And also we are challenging to do like a virtual PPA. This is not a real electricity supply, but we procure from the credit from generators and then selling to users. And then also we make a contrast for difference contract between them. So this is now some of the large company wants to use it because of their electric usage is very volume is very high, and also the locational difference between the generators location and using the facility location is different market. In that case, the virtual PPA is good solution. And then this is our target, development target. So actually we do not make generation ourselves, but we have a contract with generators. So by 2023, we will have a 50 gigawatt hour of physical PPA and also unbundled NFC. And then this would be growing 2,500 gigawatt hour by 2025. So we would grow the physical PPA volume and also virtual PPA, and also unbundled NFC from feed-in tariff has a huge volume. We would like to use it. So this is what we would like to do, our target. And then this is a typical scheme. I think you would know for the physical PPA. We set up something like special purpose company to hold generation assets. And then the user have a contract between this SPC for long-term PPA contract. And then we serve electricity between us and them, procuring them to them, serving them. So, and then also it would need the financial package. So we would doing with investors, equity part, and also the debt from bank, something like this. So as you may understand, so corporate PPA sourcing is very, many kind of players have to be together. This is what we, the difference between previous renewable energy supply. So this is one of our track record. We have made renewable solar generation on the pond, the floating generation. So we have made three those generators. So the volume would be around 2 megawatt, I think. So those generations power plants contract with specific companies, like a large Japanese companies for 20 years. This is what we have done the first time for the physical PPA. So I would like to show our strengths for the corporate PPA arrangements. So mainly there are three strengths. So one is, the first one is generation forecast. So when we arrange the corporate PPA physically, so we have to forecast the generation for the tomorrow, 48 units. So we have to reduce the imbalance cost. So we have AI generation forecasting system. We have been developed with the Tokyo University. And then also we have a blockchain P2P system. This is a very accurate so trading between generators and users for 30 minutes by 30 minutes. And then also we have a power pool, something like aggregation of many generators, not only non-fit, also fit generators. So we have large volume of renewable energy pool. The volume is around 500 megawatt now. So volume is 10 billion kilowatt hour per year. So this is very large in Japan, I think. So we have a strength to serve electricity from renewable energy to users without any intermittent time. And this is the scheme of corporate PPA. So user will contract between generators and for like 20 years. Something like a 10 yen or something like this. So now it's becoming a little expensive than this, I think. And then we serve electricity from them, and then also we have to balance their demand. So residual, we buy it, and then also we supply them the shortage. And then also we sell it to JPX of the residual, or procure from other renewable energy for them, something like this. This is what we do. So we have much generation volume and demand volume by 30 minutes, and then track it by blockchain P2P system. So this is very punctual, the price calculation. And this chart is showing the blockchain tracking system, just a little bit complicated. But the concept is very simple. We retrieve data from smart meter by 30 minutes, and then also generation and the demand side. So we match it each other by 30 minutes, and then how much volume they would have used, and then calculate it how much they use, something like this. And this shows the track record of one day, 24 hours, their demand and what the supply is coming from. This shows this orange part is from the PPA as PV generation. And the other area is from like hydrogen power or wind power. This would not the PPA, but feed-in tariff and non-fossil fuel credit. This is also renewable energy. This shows this facility supplied from renewable energy by 100% this day. And also we can supply purple, supply the renewable energy for multi facilities, so something like this. So we have a purple, and then we can calculate for each the demand. And then this shows energy supply and then the cost structure. So something like this, and the demand cover is something like this, and the supply from PPA part is something like this. And then there is a shortage, and then we will supply it. And also orange part is the corporate PPA cost, and then this is the corporate PPA contract cost. And then we will serve them using a transmission, and then we will pay the transmission fee or something like this. User have to user pay those costs other of the corporate PPA cost. And then this shows PPA price, the case study. This is comparison between the typical incumbent utility energy price, retail price. So this price has been growing from last year, something like this, as I said. So the corporate PPA price is stable. It would not change because of there's no the adjustment fee. So recently the fee of the corporate PPA cheaper than the typical energy supply. So this is the case study of the price. Recently, fuel cost surcharge is very high, as I said. In the case, this is the typical Tokyo Electric standard fee. And those fee is like a TOU price. So daytime is very expensive, but the corporate PPA price is not so much, around 40% cheaper than the standard price. So this would show the many users can get the benefit from the corporate PPA contract. So this is what we do. So many customers asking us to, they can buy corporate PPA, buying from renewable energy directly. Okay, I think this is the final page. Okay, thank you very much. This is my presentation is finished. If you have any question, let me know.
Well, thank you, Seiya-san. Thank you for the presentation. It's really very informative. And here's my questions for you. So you mentioned many different kind of PPAs. So what kind of PPA do you think will develop better and why? It's on-site, off-site, or virtual?
Actually, on-site PPA is very easy and very cost-effective. It is very, on-site PPA is the best, I think, in terms of the cost benefit. But there is a regulation because of the place limitation, something like this. So that's why next is, I think, the physical PPA, but it will be difficult because it have to make new power plants and with the financial system. So, but recently many customers were realizing physical PPA is very good solution. And also virtual PPA is also good, but now just started because the virtual PPA scheme, not yet, I have never seen in Japan. I think it would be growing from now on, I think.
Okay, then can you introduce us any specific challenges do you find when we do the offsite or virtual PPAs and any suggested solutions for that?
Oh, you mean the specific players you said?
I mean, specific challenges. What kind of problems do you think for the offsite and virtual ones?
Okay, challenges is offsite one is mainly the financial is very difficult because there has not experience for the bank in Japan. So the contract for 20 years is very long. So bank have to analyze it would be going the bankable or not, but they have no experience to see it. This is very challenging. But we have done last year 3 PPAs, so it was very was challenging, I think. And also, you said the virtual PPA challenge is it was kind of there was the hurdle of the current rule. So non-fossil fuel credit cannot be buy by users directly from generators, but recently it has been deregulated. So I think virtual PPA would be a very good solution. But one thing there is a virtual PPA contracting contract for difference contract would be forward contract. This would be regulated by Japanese government. So this would be the hurdle. Now just very hard the argument between governments and our the suppliers now.
Okay, thank you. And here's we have a question from the audience. How do you think the future of corporate PPA, how will CPPA involve with the FIP?
FIP, yes. I think in terms of the solar, the cost has been reduced. So corporate PPA is very feasible for the solar now, I think. The cost is very feasible, but the wind, in terms of wind, is a little bit expensive than the PV. In that case, the feed-in premium is a good solution to help to make a corporate PPA between the wind project.
And what kind of regulations or supports that you hope the government could consider to better encourage more renewable energies?
I think in Japan, the hurdle is to connect the grid. It is very hard to have a grid permission from the incumbent utility, the grid operators. It takes a long time and has and also there is needs lots of cost to connect. I think this is the most important hurdle we have to recover. And then, as I said, the user's point of view, so long-term contact between the generators is not, they have not get used to do it. So I think it would be changed, but as for now, it will be very hard for them to contract to have a long-term risk.
Okay, thank you for the answering. And above is all of our solo presentations today. And thanks for your company. And in the operation sessions, what consideration will be made in terms of asset management in order to cope with shrinking profit margin? Let's turn the room over to our panel moderator, Yamato Kawamata-san. And here are the thoughts from ORIX and Pacifico Energy. Let's welcome.
Okay, so thank you for having me. So from now on, so we are going to discuss asset management and O&M. So revisiting asset O&M priorities against shrinking profit margin. So as previous speakers presented earlier, so the solar market will grow in the coming decade. On the other hand, so there will be many hurdles to getting a sustainable growth of profitable or bankable solar projects. So asset management and O&M will be definitely one of the most critical issues in the I would say current uncertain business landscape. So we with Mackenzie saw the market size of the solar O&M in Japan in 2020 was over $5 million US, and we expect to grow to around $780 US in 2030 in the 10 years, which is around the 50% growth in the decade. So I would say it is Japan is one of the big markets globally, following the US or China markets. And also, it's almost the same size as Germany in the past few years. So today, I'm very excited to discuss the opportunities and also challenges in the future for this space. So I'm Yamato Kawamata, a senior analyst at Mackenzie. I'm a part of the Asia Pacific Power and Renewables team. And we are covering mid-term and long-term market outlooks in Asian countries. So today it is a great honor to be a moderator of this quite important panel. And I'm joining by two distinguished experts in this space, Kazuhisa Yurita-san, so head of solar management, ORIX Corporation, as well as a CSO or executive vice president of ORIX Renewable Energy Management Corporation, or OREM. And Yoichiro Mizuta-san, deputy COO and head of asset management at Pacifico Energy. So first of all, so could you please give us your self-introduction, including your experience or what brings you here and in asset management or one spaces. So firstly, Yurita-san, please.
Okay, allow me to go first, and thank you for the introduction. My name is Kazuhisa Yurita, and I'm managing the 1 gigawatt constituted by the almost 500 plants. 150 is a rooftop, and 850 is a ground-mounted solar. I'm in charge of all the profit and loss of the solar plant as owner, and also I'm managing the service provider, which name is OREM. Technical asset management / O&M, and serving for the 450 megawatt. Mainly client is ORIX asset. And yeah, I'm glad to be here to absorb the new insight. And I hope I could contribute to bring some knowledge to the market. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Yurita-san. So Mizuta-san, yeah, please introduce yourself. Thank you.
Okay, and thank you for introduction. And my name is Yoichiro Mizuta, and I'm head of asset management at Pacifico Energy. And now, currently we have a 1.5 gigawatt asset under management PV project, and it's part 20 project. So I'm very greatly pleasure to join this session.
Yeah, thank you very much. So first of all, so we want to discuss some businesses of the two companies and the challenges and the opportunities. So first of all, could you both of you to introduce of your companies or business areas in terms of the asset management and O&Ms. So this time, so please, Mizuta-san, could you present your business in this area? Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Please allow me to introduce Pacifico Energy first. And we are a standalone renewable energy company and engaged in developing, engineering, construction, and asset management as one-stop service. And you may know most of the land of Japan is mountainous terrain, and therefore there is not enough space for big-scale PV projects. But we've been focusing on abundant growth goals and Shenzhen to PV. This is one of the features of what Pacifico Energy has been doing. Pacifico, as I said earlier, we have a total PV capacity of almost 1.4 gigawatt with 20 projects, and our average capacity is around 70 megawatt. And that is to say both gross size and average size is one of the largest scale in Japan PV market. And we're doing the, my position is to manage, asset manager of these all projects.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so turn on the Yurita-san.
Okay.
Yeah.
As previously mentioned, I'm managing the 1 gigawatt and then serving the 5 investors, including the ORIX, and then managing the 6 O&M, including the OREM. And as a O&M company, ORIX Energy Management, we are serving the 450 megawatt full package contract. And on the other hand, 1 gigawatt panel cleaning, and several hundreds megawatt for the spot service, such as the due diligence and then drone fighting and all the things. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yeah, both your companies have lots of assets and businesses. Yeah, that is very impressive. Thank you very much. And then we want to move on to the challenges and potentials in this area. So can I ask, what are the challenges and opportunities of asset management and O&Ms in the solar power industry? So, so this time, can I ask the Yurita-san first?
Yes, sure. There's many challenges, but I think ultimate target goal for all of the players here in this industry is how to make it lifetime longer solar plant. The solar plant, in order to build the solar plant, don't forget we destroy a lot of the natures. So we need to pay back. So if we finish only the 20 years for the solar plant, it doesn't make any sense as a human being and a part of us. So my challenge, and I believe everybody's challenge, is how to make it plant lifetime longer. This is the biggest and the greatest challenge for all of us.
Okay, thank you very much. And then can I ask Mizuta-san the same question? What are your biggest challenges and opportunities if you have in this area?
Okay, and to talk about challenge and opportunities, to be honest, for our existing project, all of our projects fit under project finance scheme, so therefore there's no specific pressure from stakeholders so far. On the other hand, to launch new projects which assume corporate PPA or FIP scheme, we have to commit to streamline for efficiency. And some of you may know we won 12 PV bids which supply price of 9.86 yen per kilowatt of FIP scheme. So we should consider how to be more efficient to do asset management service and how to order reasonable one-time service, kind of like that. And in addition to that, fundamental challenging is some kind of trend. Some people are against in the PV mega solar in Japan. So we should be careful to be environment friendly and friendly to the local community, kind of like that. So it's very, very important thing. So we be very, very taking care of these things and to not to use pesticides and to hire local people to cut the waste with the human and to be amicable with the local is very important thing.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, that's very important those are the very important points. And I would like to move on to more detailed discussions, based on your challenges you have raised. So for example, the Yurita-san mentioned, the biggest challenge is to make lifetime longer. So so in that sense, what are the your company's strong point or values to make the lifetime longer? What is the the difference from other companies?
Good
Thank
question.
you.
It's big three challenges. One is the people. The people care the asset, and the people check the status, and the people decide. Okay, so this is the people. How to invite the great talent into this industry is a challenge and the important thing. And second is grant side. I mean the utility side or asset equipment side. This is very important to planning the stock management or replacement strategy or budget or planning, whatever it calls. And the third challenge is mainly what we manage right now is mainly covered by the FIT. And then these FIT shall be saturated within the 10 years or 12 years. So PV plant, I believe it's going to be last more than 35 years. But we need to go through the market changes. So FIT 40M management system and then non-FIT based management system, it will be different, right? The budget we can bear for the operation and budget we can bear for the stock management shall be different. And also we need to generate when people need electricity. So, and then it's impossible to people or manually switch the generation supplies. So IT and the DX shall be a very important hidden factor. Yeah, I said the three, but in fact, it's four, right? People, DX, equipment side, and market adjustment. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. That's very important. Yeah, so I would like to turn to the Mizuta-san. So you mentioned, the recently the competitive auction scheme continues to drive the lower capex and OPEX for solar PV. And on the other hand, with O&M cost not expected to decline anytime soon, I guess. And so in that sense, supply providers challenged to remain profitable. I would say, with single digit being, margin or something like that. Or at the same time, so in that sense, so what is your company's strategy, strong points or values for O&M in addition to the currently and in addition to the conventional, business? So could you give us your sense of that?
Okay, and as I commented earlier, I won the PV bid, and this scale is about 70 megawatt DC kind of access. No, sorry, AC kind of access. So it means we focusing on the big scale PV. So it's a very important factor to decrease the cost of O&M. So as I also likewise as I said earlier, so our average size is a 70 megawatt DC, and it means that if we have 235 megawatts PV and 170 megawatts PV, it's same. Both case has same power generation, but the cost of O&M and asset management fee is not say, almost double. And so if we seek for the scale of the PV size, so we can manage the cost of the O&M. And of course, a big scale of the PV needs requires many labor and to maintain, but some of them change to the machine, for example, to inspect by the drone above the panel, kind of like that, and not to check by the person every day or quarterly or something kind of like that. So, yeah, and we can do we can utilize some IT and innovative machine kind of like that. So it can decrease and lower cost. But of course, as I said earlier, we can't keep the communication with the local higher and kind of like that. So we should choose what is important and what is changeable, what should be to be choose the alternative good one. And we are discussing many O&Ms, how to resolve this problem.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, so I understand that the economies of scale is one of the big factor to get profitable projects. On the other hand, previous speakers also presented that the preferable relatively large project size have already secured or developed, and the project sites are currently are relatively small. So how do you manage those kind of it might be difficult to get economies of scale in the future. So do you have any strategy to tackle on that issue?
Yeah, it's a very good question. And yeah, some of people say that there are no appropriate land for the large-scale PV, but we don't think so. That is a difference. So we have some kind of long pipeline. We believe that, but some guys don't think so. So it's in terms of the economics. So that's the difference. We just think there are room for developing for PV.
Yeah, thank you very much. It is very interesting. Yeah, so it is still very profitable for your business. Thank you very much. Do you have any comments from Yurita-san on the same issue?
The first of all, the scale economy, it doesn't exist. Okay, so as a service provider, scale economy, it does exist because we put the HR and the procurement, all the things. Okay, 10 gigawatt still need HR. 100 megawatts still need the HR and corporate management. It does exist as an operation company. But as an IPP point of view, the scale economy, it's something people believe so, but each project has their own story and their own rationale and their own constraints of the numbers. So I think it doesn't exist, Of course, the place order, the 100 megawatt project and the place order, the 2 megawatt project, it's different. But the 100 megawatt project, it takes 2 years or 3 years, right? So money sleep the 3 years. But 2 megawatt is like 6 months development and construction. So if you put the money and then after 6 months, money generate money. So I don't think scale of the economy is not existing. Of course it does, but it's quite small.
I see. That's very impressing. Yeah, Anta, thank you very much. And I also impressed what Yurita-san said, the first challenge is the people, the how to get the experienced or talented, people, and also Japan has relatively high labor cost, and I'm sure, and skilled worker shortage or so. So how do you secure the the talented people? For example, you can train people, or how to hire the talented people or something like that. So how to how to address those kind of people, how to get the talented people in this area. So could you give us some insight on that?
May I?
Yes,
So-
Yurita, please.
Okay. First of all, the labor cost in Japan, I don't think it's high compared with quality of the people. The Japanese people doesn't have to teach the compliance governance. They originally already have it, the mind conscious, okay? And how to find the good people is there is no good people. So the way you treat the people and the people reflecting a different way. So reasonable salary package, and then transparent raise up salary scheme, and then the clear, simple direction of the company strategy. And then voila, that's it. Yeah, it's it's simple. I think I have never faced the difficulty to get the talent, because all of you and me, us, we have talents, right? All we need is the polish, how to polish the original talent, right?
Thank you very much. Yeah, so yeah, very encouraging comment and a powerful comment. Thank you very much. So Mizuta, can you elaborate on the human resource management, or how to deal with these issues in your company?
Yeah, and very I think it's a very interesting point, and the Japanese renewable energy market is a bit early stage now, so there are not so many professionals in the market. We hire many people recently. And we are thinking of to hire people or to attractive. So one of them is to have a new pipeline, like kind of like as I said earlier, to new PV project. It's currently such kind of large size scale PV producer is only Pacifico Energy. So it's one thing, and the second thing is to do a new business kind of battery business. So our Pacifico Energy fortunately approved METI's subsidy program to introduce battery business, grid and not equipment with PV, but grid side battery business. So this kind of new business is some kind of incentive to hire new people. And to the area of the asset management, and our department develops the original system to analyze PV performance, or to report and calculate many key performance indexes. So this interesting job attracts guy of the market. So I think I should do interesting thing to attract the other guys.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, those are very important points. And I want to move on to a little bit about the technical aspects. So in my understandings, some corrective repairs is very important, including some inverter replacements. I think that is one of the way to make the lifetime longer. And yeah, that is account for the majority of the global O&M spent, I think. And also there are several activities, site-specific activities such as vegetation management and module washing. That would be more important. So could you give us the recent market trends? What is the important aspects of such kind of technical issues? So could you give us a sense? So the Yurita-san first.
Okay, so the inverter change is definitely everybody have to consider. Particularly in the higher tariff owner, they might use old model of the inverter. And not only the specification difference, some inverter provider is already stopped to do the business. So the spare parts availability and those issues still remain. So you should better consider who is 10 years from now on surviving inverter provider, and then you should better to switch it, the one already quit the business. And then that need some additional investment. And then I will deliver the one quick things to improve your performance is if you have the asset more than 32 yen tariff and the irradiation is more than 1,000 watt, and then you may better consider the panel cleaning. So we provide the panel cleaning is less than 300 yen per kilowatt P, and then the asset 32 yen multiple 1,000 irradiation is create around 35 million JPY. So improve 1 megawatt is 35 million JPY, and 1 megawatt panel cleaning is like 300,000, right? Yen. So if we improve it 1%, it's already 350,000, and the monetary it makes sense. And the improving the 1% is if you go down to the PV plant and then you just split the panel you have, and then that is already killing more than 2 to 3% of your irradiation, your production potential you have. And then we ORIX average tariff, what we manage is 36.5 yen. So of course, indeed, we wash the panel annually. So next is the 5th year of the panel cleaning, and its monetary makes sense.
Thank you very much. Yes, thank you. So can I ask the same question to Mizuta-san? What is the key technical issues and what is your strategy for that?
Okay, and in terms of inverters, so all of our projects has LTSA, long-term service agreement. So we don't seem to change or some and heavy problem to have and don't have a motivation to change that. So we don't have severe worry about that so far, fortunately. And in terms of panel cleaning, as Yurita-san said, now we are interested in panel cleaning. Part of our projects, we do panel cleaning, and some of our projects improved by panel cleaning. But we should be careful that as I said earlier, our project is a big size, so we should do the tests before doing all of the cleaning. So and we now analyzing what kind of site or what kind of project and what kind of terrain is efficient to be cleaned. So after that, we choose a project and ask O&Ms to clean the panel, and it's to analysis is very important to judge clean or not.
Thank you very much. Yeah, that is very important point. So I think time is limited. So I want to give you a final question regarding the more broader issue. So recently, I think most of the audience are concerned about the the supply chain structure, high material cost and high fuel cost for transportation or shipping cost or something like that. So does that kind of high supply chain cost impact on the O&M or asset management businesses? Is it impacting in the coming few years? Can I have your opinions on that in terms of the O&M or asset management business? Yeah. So Yurita-san, can you give us your view?
Okay, so the critical spare parts, we already have the stock by own. So we fortunately don't have any problem. But yesterday, I got one quotation from the panel suppliers, Japanese panel suppliers, which already stopped the production. The panel price was 200 yen per watt. Okay, so when they sell, Japanese, never go run away. And then, in fact, they are selling the 200 yen per watt, and it happens. So if you're positioned to build a new project, I think you should better to consider the mounting system, which allows the difference of the panel size in the future, because the one you regard the trustable today, they might stop the production and then they charge you the unacceptable price, triple time higher than when procured at the building phase. So mounting system, it allows allowance of the panel size. It's very important. And then the other stock management is, as Mizuta-san said, long-term service agreement is necessary. And also spare parts, own stock spare parts, it helps to mitigate the downtime. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, can I ask the same question to Mizuta-san? What is the impact of the recent high supply chain cost?
Okay, and as for construction phase, to be honest, we had some severe challenging situation, especially in the Shanghai lockdown period. But fortunately, we are overcoming them, and now we don't suffer from a serious problem. But having said that, a still annoying thing is like a short of semiconductors. So we consider the defect ratio of major components and propose to have additional stock to the investors and to minimize the procurement time. And some of our parts is for example, let's say so 3 months or 6 months, and it's a very small part, but in short of these parts, some pieces should avoid to stopping. So to have adequate parts, stock parts, spare parts is a very important thing. So we revised our spare parts list currently.
Thank you very much for your very insightful comments on that. So I believe yeah, we had a very great discussion. We discussed about the general, overview of the current trend of the O&M businesses, and also technical issues. What is the key trends, and also human management, resource management, and lastly, we discussed the current high materials cost also. Yeah, so thank you very much for your very great insights on that. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, and I want to get back to Cheryl. If you if you have any questions, yeah, we can give you 1 or 2 questions from the audience.
Thank you, Yamato-san. Thank you for the moderation. And here's a question from my side. There's many old PV farms in Japan now, so there's maybe some aging assets, aging modules. So how you think to do it properly to finish the operation and the asset management for this part?
I mean, may I? First of all, the PV panel, the durability is theoretically, it's forever, right? It's semiconductor, so it's forever. So the important thing is how to pick up the anomalies from the bunch of the panel and then refresh, okay? And then second, inverter. It's also, if you replace precisely, it's forever. Right, so aged PV plant, it's no matter. It's just like a real estate. Whether you destroy and rebuild or you just fine tune, it's up to the status of the each plant. My opinion. It's easy.
And I agree with Yurita-san. Yeah, most of the models, the duration is very long. And the point is, if we change the panel, there are no version which we equipped. So in this case, so some regulation is hit to change the panel. So it's I believe it's a very not so intentionally, but Chinese manufacturer don't produce same model anymore. So in that case, so how to, yeah, if sometimes we don't get the same size or same watt. So in that case, if we fortunately get the same size, but the storing wattage is different from the previous one. So in the case, efficiency gets worse. So that's a more problem, I think.
Yeah, yeah. So a bit, the old regulation is a bit constrained, but overall, it's a minor issue.
Okay, thank you for the answer. And in the last few minutes of our webinar, it's a printed Excel session. I have a question from Kazuhisa-san. He wants to ask you that the transformation speed of the manufacturing industry in Japan is quite slow because I think their willingness to buy the renewable energies or to sign corporate PPA may be very slow. How do you think of this situation?
Yeah, I'm the one make the question. So
yes, you are the one to raise these questions.
I would like to, Mr. San.
And Seiya-san, are you still in our room? No.
My question is a global supply chain network manufacturer, Japanese manufacturer. They have to change the energy source into the renewable from the conventional one. But as I see, the changing speed is a bit slow. And then corporate PPA, these global supply chain manufacturer is the one could show the higher corporate PPA, but I haven't seen the aggressive corporate PPA of taker so far. And then maybe I don't know much, or I would like to know your view, particularly in the Mizuta-san. Yeah.
Yeah, it's specific my area, but yeah, I've had our colleagues or these days, yeah, thanks for the JPEG. So some of take have some kind of interest to take relatively high price than before. So, and yeah, I believe that Miyake-san is a more much guy to answer this question. But as the market is changing due to the Russian-Ukraine problem and FX problem, and so some big companies think to the relative high before, and it's under the number of the company who have interest in the additionality than before.
Thank you.
Then Izumi-san or Tetsuya-san, do you have different opinions?
I think they are not here. I think.
Yeah, I think so. Then today's webinar is come to an end here, and I am regretful to all the guest speakers for your generous sharing and to the audience for your company. We are now nearing the end of the event, and if you want to get more comment, visit us offline in Yokohama.
So thank you.
Yes, and our conference and exhibition is in full swing, and more solar events are waiting for you. It is your support and enthusiasm to drive forward the Japanese solar market. And see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.